Hello everyone. In this video I will be showing one of my favorite configurations of the Annihilator. And not just that, I will also show you how it performs in a particular situation which I normally try to avoid like the plague. So what is this kind of situation? Let's take a look here. So I initially came to this system right here because it has the Warzone contract. I was going to show you something in the Warzone. However, when I came here, what I've noticed is that it's got... Hold on a second, let's go to contracts. Is that it's got the objective raid mission, alright, which happens in the megacity type of scenario, and most importantly it's a claustrophobically tiny combat area, 9 square kilometers. Sometimes it can be even less than this. Sometimes it can be like 6 square kilometers. I absolutely hate when objective raid contracts happen in such a claustrophobically tiny areas. Why? Because you are going to get slammed with a bunch of enemies and a bunch of assault mechs. I'm not sure if whether such thing was intended in this game or if it's some kind of a bug. These missions don't happen very often, nevertheless they do happen. They do tend to happen regularly. And like I said earlier, normally I try to avoid situations like this, like the plague. However, there are instances when you absolutely have to take something like this. Like, let's say if you are in the middle of a multiple mission operations and you don't want to abort the contract because you don't want to lose your reputation. So you have to try your best getting through something like this. So here is what I found greatly helps me to get through such difficult situations like this. It's a very specific Annihilator configuration. Let's briefly take a look at this, but I will talk more about its specifics later. Let's actually go ahead and take that contract, and then we'll discuss this build later. Just do note that I've got 10 LB10X autocannons, solid slug, complemented with 4 small lasers. We'll get into more details later, but let's go ahead and try this mission. And to this kind of mission I brought here 4 identically built Annihilators. They are absolutely identical in this case. My AI Lancemates are going to be piloting exactly the same thing as I would. So let's go ahead and take this contract, and then you will see what I'm talking about. Once again, normally I try to avoid at all costs this kind of scenarios. However, in this case it just might be a good opportunity to show you this particular build. Okay, well, let's go.
Air target spotted. This is a surgical strike, Commander.
You see, this is what I'm talking about. You see how many targets?
Scout the points marked on your map and identify the
You have to move slowly and approach things very carefully here, very carefully. You will have a lot of stuff to deal with in here.
Target destroyed.
Right. So what do we do first?
Target urban mech.
Oh, nice job. Okay.
Tango down.
My female Lancemates are doing a good job so far, eliminating all of this threat.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
This never gets old.
Let's be very, very careful with how we move in here. Because, look,
New target Highlander.
there is
Target
Highlander,
acquired.
and then there is some kind of heavy mech there as well.
We'll get him.
Okay,
Target destroyed.
this urban mech is gone.
Took one down.
Here is a huge parking space. So, yeah, you see, this is exactly what I was talking about. You see how many heavy and assault mechs that are concentrated in one area? This is ridiculous. And I'm sure this is not it. There will be more of the situations like that.
Tin can crushed. Target neutralized.
So the only way to survive in situations like this is to slam those mechs
Once you've
with
found the targeted
those
asset, move up to
10
it,
autocannons
and we'll
in
begin
the
recovery
Alpha
procedure.
Strike. Because you wanna eliminate them as quickly as possible before they manage to cause a lot of damage either to you or to your Lancemates.
That's squad
Battlemeister.
ready to start pickup operation.
And no, I'm not going to pick anything up in here because I don't want my ammo to get restocked, because it's not fair. I want to show you how this mech can handle situations like this without having to restock the ammo, because it's not quite realistic. Okay,
Copy.
let's get rid of this commander, because it will be running around actually.
Commander.
So we have two assault mechs, Atlas,
Target acquired.
Stalker. Stalker seems to be damaged. Okay, don't shoot at me, please. Let's move. Okay, it's Atlas. Let's annihilate this Atlas. This is a melee variant. And then
Target destroyed.
finished off this Stalker. We'll deal with this objective later. You see what's going on? Do you see that? This is exactly what I've been talking about. Ridiculous amount of heavy and assault mechs. There is Marauder. And then this. Alright.
Target acquired.
Okay. It's moving fast. Right, I chopped off his arm. Alright,
Target
fine.
destroyed.
Oh man,
New target
you see what's going on?
Target destroyed. Target acquired.
Mahler.
A clean headshot.
We've got surrounded. We've got surrounded. We better eliminate all these enemies quickly.
New target grasshopper.
Oops.
Target destroyed.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You see?
Acquired. Target destroyed.
Okay. accidentally pressing this button which activates the fists, the arm actuators. Okay, let's finish off this.
Target down.
I am not gonna waste any ammo on this. I will be just taking it down with small lasers.
Down.
I will save ammo for the mechs.
Target acquired. Target destroyed.
Right. This is not it. You see, we have the enemy dropship coming in. Highlander and the quick draw. Okay. It's probably not enough for the small laser.
Confirmed,
Get
Commander.
rid of
Moving on
this
target.
rifleman.
Nice shot, show off.
New target quick draw.
Target mech eliminated.
Alright, and now we
Target
have
acquired.
to deal with this high.
Target destroyed.
Alright. Highlander is done. I'm sure this is not it. There will be more of things like this. Okay, hold on a second. Let me evaluate the damage. Okay. So this is actually in a very good shape. This one, the armor on the torso is almost gone. And then this one is in a pretty decent shape so far, but better be careful, because I am sure there will be more stuff in here.
Walk on up to the treasure to pick it up.
No, I don't want to restock my ammo like this. This is not realistic. Once again, let's not fall for this bullshit. Let's see how this build can survive situations like this without any of those cheesy MechWarrior 5 ammo restocks on the battlefield. This is bullshit, and things like this shouldn't exist. Okay, let's get rid of this commando. Then,
Target destroyed.
alright, so they took down
That was
those
a great showing, Commander.
satellite
Our
dishes,
benefactor will be pleased
which
with our
was
success.
our main
Now get back to the
objective.
dropship ASAP.
And now we have to return. This is it? Ah, it wasn't too bad. Sometimes, you know, it gets worse than that. Yeah, he fell on this.
Target acquired.
Enemy destroyed.
That's interesting. He was on the roof. Okay. Anything else in here? So there is an LRM carrier. Aha. I thought there will be something else. Look at this. More assault mechs. More assault mechs.
Target acquired.
You've got to be very careful, because one of my Lancemates already has a critical level of armor on the side torso. So let's approach them carefully.
Crap! Enemy mech!
Exactly.
Enemy ground armor spotted.
Let's get rid of this Mahler.
Target destroyed.
Now
Target
let's
acquired.
get rid of this Banshee.
Engaging shared target ID.
Okay, take down this Banshee while I guess I have to deal with him as well.
Sharp shooting.
Okay. Grasshopper, getting these alarm shots. Okay,
Target destroyed.
then
Target acquired. Ammo low.
Boom.
all right.
Nice.
I have a low ammo level. Let's get rid of this nasty eager. There's another one. And another one.
Go smoked.
Alright. Don't fall on me. Okay. Alright, this is it. I guess this is it. Yeah. One of the things, once again, which I absolutely hate about MechWarrior 5 are these claustrophobically tiny combat areas. Oh my gosh, do I hate that. Why don't they just make these combat areas bigger? MechWarrior 2, which came out like 24 years prior, this game had larger combat areas, except for the what were those missions called? Those were for the clans,
Nearly there,
the trial
Commander.
missions,
Approaching
like
an
some
object to pick it up.
trial of grievance or something like that. There you're locked in a particular spot, something like an arena or something. But other than that, it had a fairly large combat areas, especially MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries. Here, this is just pathetic. 9 square kilometers, or sometimes even less, sometimes I've seen even 6. This is ridiculous.
On approach, Commander.
So yeah, these types of missions are some kind of grotesque. I am not sure whether they were meant to be this way initially, or it's some kind of bug. But how can you get so many assault and heavy mechs in such a tiny area? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So what do we get? Well, I don't think I will be picking up any of these mechs because I have enough of them already. So let's pick up some of this. PPC will be nice to have. You see, I've exhausted all the points. However, I do have a mod allowing me to purchase all this stuff. I am paying a huge markup, but that's okay. Let's see what else is in here. Actually, you know what? I think I'm not gonna be overspending. Let's drop something. I will drop one of these PPCs. One is enough. All right, now let's take a look at this graph, and you will see what I'm talking about. So I've killed 22 mechs. All right. My Lancemates killed 2, 5. Oh, and this one has 0 mech kills. So, how many mech targets were in total? 22, 24, 29 mechs total. 29 mech targets in total. Just think about it. In such a claustrophobically tiny combat area. This is grotesque. I don't know what they were thinking when designing this game. I don't know whether something like that again was intended or just happened as a bug. If you know, please let me know down in the comments section. And like I said, whenever I see either a raid mission or an objective raid mission, in a megacity biome, I usually try to avoid those missions at all costs. I would normally never take them because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You're risking to lose either your Lancemates or the critical components. However, as I've mentioned, when in a situation when you absolutely have to take it, if in case if something like this happens in a multiple mission operation and you don't want to abort the contract because you don't want to lose your reputation, well, then this kind of build is going to greatly help you, as you've just seen. So once again, we've had 29 mech targets, enemy mech targets that were trying to kill us. This is not to mention any other targets. Normally I don't even count anything other than the mech target. Alright, so let's continue, and now let's discuss specifics of this build. To begin with, let's actually go ahead and take a look at the upgrades which I use with it. Once again, I'm gonna have to repeat the same stuff as I've done in the previous videos. I have a mod which allows every single upgrade to occupy only a single upgrade slot. And honestly, I believe that this is the way it should be, because it takes a long time to unlock the cantina, and then it takes a way too long to perform these upgrades, and it costs a lot. All these upgrades in this game are more of an insult to a player rather than a help sometimes. So this mod greatly fixes this kind of situation. I believe that this is the way it should be, not the way it is in the original game. So what are the upgrades? I make the internal structure a bit stronger, add a little bit of armor, even though it's only 5%, but it still kinda matters to some extent. And then, since this is primarily a ballistic variant with this 10 autocannons, I increase the firing rate. So you see, I use faster weapon cycling and 2 upgrades related to the quick ammo feed. And all these 3 things together combined, they change the rate of fire from 35.5 RPM to 45.8 RPM, which is actually, you know, a pretty good difference. And then lastly, I like adding a little bit of extra, you know, even though it's kind of negligible, only 10% of hit capacity, because these weapons, they do generate some heat. They do generate some heat, and that is why I also use 4 double hit sinks, because in situations like the one you just saw, when I am constantly shooting these autocannons in the alpha strikes, it can run hard. It can run pretty hard, so you do absolutely need those double hit sinks on top of this. I mean, this one I don't know. It maybe helps, maybe not. I can't really tell, but just in case, you know, it's there. Alright, finally let's go and discuss the specifics of this build. Let's take a look at the loadout. Actually, you know, just once again to reiterate, we've done really well. no critical components were lost. So I will put my Lancemates mechs to a repair, and it's obviously a very quick repair because it's just an armor damage. Once again, no components were lost, luckily. Now let's take a look at this build. Let's perform these repairs, and now let's see what's going on in here. I've done a couple of previous videos related to other Annihilator builds. And to start with, what I keep identical throughout all of the configurations of the Annihilator is the armor level. I always max it out, except I have to shave off only a couple of points from a center torso, because you see I'm going slightly over tonnage, so 2 points shaved off, and this is it. This is it. Everything else is maxed out. As you can see, the torsos, the head, very important, the cockpit always have to be maxed out. The arms, the legs, everything. Everything. Not just that, I also allocate maximum armor towards the front. You see, 70 in front versus 17 points in the rear. Same story here, obviously. And then 106 points in front on a center torso versus 22 points in the back. This is what greatly helps me to survive the situations like you just saw. Now, as I've mentioned previously, I do use these double heat sinks with this build, because you do need them. If you're gonna fire all these autocannons in the alpha strikes, which I was doing quite extensively when dealing with such a huge amount of mechs in that mission, you've got to have a proper heat dissipation. Areas where I don't like making any compromises are, once again, the armor, the amount of armor, and the heat dissipation. I want everything to stay cool. I don't want to get overheated and getting a thermal shutdown in the middle of a combat. That's a very, very bad situation. So let's now talk about the weapons. Well, here, obviously, as I've mentioned earlier, I am using this LB-10X autocannons solid slug that are shooting out solid slugs. I do like the standard ones that are that are shooting out the cluster munitions. But I do also like these ones as well, because they are kinda a little bit more precise. They work better in the longer ranges. I've seen one comment somewhere. Someone was saying, "Oh, I don't know why this standard LB-10Xs even exist. I only use this solid slug ones." No, I disagree. They are both great for different types of situations. I use them both. These ones, the standard ones, they work really great at close ranges. I do love this as well. Whereas these ones, they work kinda better at extreme long ranges. You can even snipe with these things. If you are a sharp shooter, you can even snipe with very distant targets with these types of autocannons. Nevertheless, as you've seen, they also work as exceptionally well at a close range as well, so they are kind of universal. Now, what's also very important is how much ammo you use. In order to be able to survive a mission like this and to be able to kill as many mechs as I've destroyed in this mission, you have to have an adequate amount of ammo, of ammunition. It's very, very important. And for that matter, I had to downgrade the medium lasers, the stock medium lasers, which this mech comes with, down to small lasers. I don't necessarily want to leave it without any lasers, because as you've seen, some of those static targets, like those radar dishes, in situations like this you don't wanna waste your ammo on those. You wanna save it for the mechs, for distant targets and the mechs. So you do need to have some kind of energy weapons here as well. Well, so once again, if you enjoyed this build, then please feel free to take a screenshot and try building it yourself. I absolutely love this build. It serves me very well, and it works exceptionally well in the situations like the one you just saw, in those crowded urban areas. Lastly, what else I was gonna say in here? Actually, here is what's interesting about this Annihilator chassis. So there are two ballistic variants of Annihilator in this game. The first one, the oldest one perhaps, is this ANH-1A. And then there is a newer variant, which is ANH-2A, also ballistic variant. And the difference between those variants is that in stock, this comes with standard AC-10s. Let me actually show you. Let me quickly load this original loadout. So this one in stock comes with this standard AC-10s, whereas the 2A variant comes in with the LB-10X autocannon, the standard one, the one I was talking about earlier, and with medium pulse lasers. But also, from what I have heard, according to my research, I think I've seen it on sarna.net, something like this. Also, the 2A variant has the case in the case system in the side torsos, meaning that it can mitigate the damage caused by the ammo explosion. I am not sure whether it's true or not in this game. I can't really find any kind of information in here. So, what do you guys think? Please let me know down in the comment. Is this true for the MechWarrior 5 or not? Does the 2A variant have a case or not? So, as I mentioned earlier, I do have both variants, but there is no way for me to look at those kind of specs in here. Where does it say? So I'm not sure. Anyways, once again, this is one of my favorite builds. After having finished filming this video, I've realized that I forgot to mention one of the most important aspects related to this build, which is the weapon grouping. So I had to make this insert. So, as you can see, I grouped two autocannons in pair, the ones that are mounted in the arms, and then the same with the two that are mounted in the torso. So this is how I shoot them in the Alpha Strike. Now, I do also need to have an ability to shoot each autocannon in singles, just you know, to take down some lightly armored target like a ground vehicle or a helicopter. For those types of scenarios I would use autocannons in chain, which just shoots them in singles. And then lastly, the small lasers I would just assign to the Alpha Strike, all of them. Although, if you like, you can also, you know, split them in pairs. The ones that are mounted in the arms and the one that are mounted in the torso. But this is what I just like to do, because most of the time I actually like to lock my arms to the torso by default, and then if I need to, you know, temporarily unlock them, I will just press a button if I need to use the arms separately. But most of the time, like let's say, I don't know, maybe 90% of the time, I usually lock my arms, because it's very important, especially in situations like this when I wanna shoot all of these autocannons in the Alpha Strike. Alright, this is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time.